Chutes and Ladders, AEW, rounding third, heading home. Hey everyone, my name is Jason.
I'm Desiree Josen.
Hey everyone, in the spirit of the World Series and baseball, we decided to entitle this Rounding Third, Heading Home. We are well into Q4 of this calendar year. We're just going to talk about where we think AEW is headed for the rest of this calendar year, and realistically probably for the beginning of next year, maybe beyond. All right, so first off, we're going to get into Mox and the Battle Club against AEW. We were both, when we first saw his Mox's shoot interview, it sounded like a shoot. I know it is a work, but this is an interesting storyline. They obviously gave the title to Mox. It seems like as long as Mox has this title, the storyline is going to be them versus everyone. So let's hear your thoughts.
I love it. I love Jon Moxley. And we knew Brian's reign was going to end just because his contract was ending. So, you know, how great is it for the last person of the Shield to take him down? Because that's one thing I pointed out was he ended one with Seth and Roman, and now he ended it with Mox. So I really love Jon Moxley and his character, and I like how gritty he is. He's always been that realistic one that's been an outcast. And that promo, it had a lot of people confused, and I was like, I know exactly where he's going with this. And his intensity made me laugh a little bit because I'm like, he's really into it. However, the foundation of that was basically, I don't like where it is right now. I'm going to change it to where it needs to be. And I like that, and I'm excited, and hopefully he, changes where it's been for the past couple of years. So I'm hopeful.
Absolutely. Well, question for you on this. Do you think now that it's basically their group versus everybody else, do you think there's going to be more, they're going to basically recruit more members and their group's going to get bigger, almost like very NWO versus WCW like?
I got that feeling because because he had Marina join, and it was kind of like, what is she doing there? And then Wheeler came and turned and got back with them after a couple of weeks of destruction there. I feel like he's going to recruit a few more. It is very much reminiscent of NWO, and even that promo was very realistic compared to a lot of their vignettes that they do, which is very similar to what NWO did with WCW with those realistic videos. So I see it, and I hope it lasts more long term than anything, because we know they are notorious for very short term storylines.
Yeah, absolutely. And I said it again. I think as long as Mox has the title, the storyline is going to continue. It'll be interesting to see, though. If they decide to kind of go this quote unquote NWO route, I just hope they learn from their mistakes and they don't make the same mistakes that they did and make this.
Yeah, by recruiting the entire roster and then forgetting what to do. No, I think they've really learned, and I really hope they have enough backing to be like, okay, this is where we cut it, and this is where we need to, change the fork in the road and projection. So I think Moxley is a great leader. I think he's a great person to do whatever change that they're looking to do. So I think it's going to be good.
Absolutely. All right, cool. Let's actually transition to another group of wrestlers that we've constantly just shout praises for. You could actually argue that AEW stands for Athletic Elite Wrestling because they have the best athletes by far. Talking about guys like Ospreay and now Ricochet, which I thought was a home run, and plenty of other guys. Where do you see these type of just high-flying, just phenomenal athletes and their storylines toward the end of this year, potentially next year as well?
Well, I'm glad they're bringing on more and more, just because I feel like they only know how to book this one body type, respectfully.
Yeah.
And they are great performers, they're athletes, and they're entertainers, so I think they work very well with each other, just because they are the same type, they have the same style in the ring.
Correct. And I was just going to say, yeah, they definitely match them together on purpose because they can have bunch of different spots. But since you brought it up, let's go ahead and just kind of chime in on this. Do you see any type of change for anyone that's not quote unquote that athletic, whether they're bigger? I know you have a guy you particularly love who's as part on your wallpaper right now. Do you see them basically just maybe elevating these bigger types for the end of this year?
I really wish they would, because these guys are amazing. They work very hard for their physiques, and I feel like they should be spotlighted as well. So, and they used to be what the prototype of a wrestler was like the bigger guy with
Sure.
the charisma that could actually perform and do well on the mic. And I just feel like they've either stopped revolving storylines around them and they get a pop and then they don't know what else to do. It's just like, I feel like they're lost. And I will say it again. I know I'm so annoying. I love Wardlow. I think he is the total package. And I feel like AEW has dropped the ball with him. And I don't know what's going on. It could be an injury. It could be something else. But he was a main eventer 2 years ago. He was amazing. And they can't do anything with him. And I was shocked that they made Brian Cage the Ring of Honor champion at their last PLE, because I'm like, well, what are you going to do with him now? Yeah. Even though he's great and he's worked really hard. And that's where I get a little disappointed with them creatively, because I'm like, you can't just work one type, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. And look, rounding out this end of this year, hopefully they kind of learn from some of these things and learn from the cries. And obviously, I'm going to continue to say this. We have a voice because of social media and because of all these different metrics that the more you hashtag and everything else, I mean, you can actually bring attention to this and you can actually potentially give pushes. And the crowd does make a show. So if these guys are getting the pops and the attention, that should really tell you something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the women's division. I think it's Mariah's time to run and to run towards the end and to basically probably go on to 2025 with the same thing. I know you like some other women too, but what do you think overall?
I love Mariah. I think she's fantastic. I know you love her, and I'm glad we're on the same page with her. She is amazing. I loved how they slowly developed her into the heel to turn against Toni Storm and then basically beat her. And I tell you, she is so funny. I was watching, what was it, Dynamite? Or what was it? I think it was Dynamite. And Anna Jay was wrestling. And she was like, you better take me out to dinner because I'm going to have you on my knees or on your knees and, screaming my name in pain. And I'm like, this is so good. And and I love how they're letting the other girls challenge her, and she's got something to say about all of them. So it's not just her picking on one person. Right now it is Anna Jay. People were questioning why. I'm like, why not? Yeah. And I'm really loving the women's division right now.
Yeah,
it's so much fun.
You could easily argue that this is the most entertaining division of the entire promotion. I just think they're great. Yeah, absolutely. I just think they're overall great. I mean, we praise the athletes. There's so many great athletes on the women's division.
And they're beautiful. They're so funny and they're so strong. The only thing I feel like we're lacking is the tag team division.
Yeah, correct.
I mean,
yeah, no, I agree. And with tag teams, it's a little tricky if you don't have the depth of wrestlers. So if that's something they wanted to actually solidify, that's something to kind of deep dive into, in my opinion.
Yeah.
All right. Last thing we're going to touch on. All right, time to push. I already know there's one guy that you really, really, really want to be pushed. Who are some either up-and-comers, young guys, or guys that we kind of really haven't heard from that you think they should really kind of give that strong push? Maybe they can incorporate them on the AEW side to push the club.
You go first.
So, listen, I'm actually going to echo what you have to say. Obviously, Wardlow, I definitely agree with you. If he was a main eventer 2 years ago and he was drawing money, I really don't understand what's going on. So you obviously have that. I think there's plenty of wrestlers on the roster. We talked about this before. If you have 150 wrestlers, okay, And you're creating a world where you decide who flourishes and who doesn't. I've always said this before, too. You can have wrestler A beat wrestler B and B beat C, but then have C beat A. So they're all on the equal same playing field. And then you can actually reverse that order. And then you can add a wrestler E and an F. And it doesn't matter. If they are talented, if they do have mic skills and everything else, if you have that depth, there's so many ways you can go. So I really do think if you're going to keep that many wrestlers on the roster, the sky's the limit. And you get to paint the canvas. So paint it properly.
Yeah.
Anyone in particular that you have?
I mean, I've said it before, it's going to be Wardlow. That's someone I'm pushing for. And it's not just me. When we post anything about Wardlow, it blows up. And we get so many comments saying, where is he? We love him. And there's so many more videos and podcasts surrounding him. So I don't know what's going on. I really hope he's coming back for a major surprise, maybe something to end his feud that he had with Adam Cole and with MJF. I'm fingers crossed that's where they're going. If not, he needs to go somewhere else. If anything, who I've been really feeling is Private Party. I think they're a lot of fun. When I watched them on the last PLE, and even their promos, they're showmen. They're fun, and I think they would bring a lot to the tag team division. And I mean, even with Ricochet, he's still new. He is getting these title shots and being featured in these really awesome matches. I really hope that he gets to go far. And even for the women's division, like I said, I push for Anna Jay. I think she's great. I've been watching her for years, and she's just getting better and better. And Harley Cameron, I didn't realize she's only had like 10 or 15 matches. And she's fun. And she's just as, gritty as like Saraya and the rest of them. So I want more.
Absolutely, for sure. And I will just give an overall generalized statement. I think they have a unique opportunity. ECW did this years ago, where they would actually bring in a crop of international stars and let them run. AEW does have a connection to a lot of international stars. Mm-hmm. I think they could really have a lot of fun, be creative, have just phenomenal matches. We talked about athletes. I kind of was under the assumption that Ospreay and Ricochet are going to be pushed to the top, rightfully so. But, I mean, can you imagine all these high flyers and acrobatic wrestlers from international that are international come in and challenge these guys, maybe fight each other, give them a belt. We obviously see Takeshita get the belt. Well, why can't he feud with people that he was feuding with, overseas? It can still be the same thing, just translate over here.
I know, because they're going to Japan. I mean, Anna just came back from Japan, and they have like a partnership with New Japan Wrestling. So, yeah. And I know they're bringing a couple here and there, but yeah, I mean, they have a pretty stacked roster on both ends, so that would be fun to see.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, that actually wraps up this episode. What do you think? Please chime in. DM us at The Chutes and Ladders. Like always, please like, share, and subscribe. Once again, my name is Jason.
I'm Desiree Josen.
All right, until next time, have a wonderful week.
Bye, friends.